I've basically been using Windows for my entire life, but I won't beat around the bush. I switched to the new MacBook Pro a few days ago. During this time, I've noticed a lot of unexpected differences between the two operating systems, both pros and cons, so here's my honest opinion on switching to the Mac. Let's start with why I switched in the first place, and honestly, take your pick. No jokes aside, I feel like there are endless reasons to switch right now, like the countless bugs and ads in Windows, or Microsoft's AI slop, but my main reason honestly was the current hardware pricing. Upgrading my PC to a similar performance level would have probably cost me even more than the Mac, unthinkable a few years ago, but I guess that's the reality we live in today. By the way, just for context, before the Mac I was using a combo of this PC and a Surface laptop for when I was on the go, so anyway, let's get into the switch itself, starting with the hardware. The first thing I noticed right away is the build quality. Everything feels incredibly premium, and I particularly love the display hinge. It's super sturdy, but you can still easily open it with one hand. Materials aside, you can instantly tell that the MacBook was thoughtfully designed and made for professionals. You got a total of 3 Thunderbolt 5 ports spread across both sides. That's plenty for all your accessories, and it means that you can charge the laptop from either side, which was impossible on the Windows laptops I've had so far. Then there is an SD card slot, which is obviously a massive time saver if you work with photos or videos, plus an HDMI port, which always comes in clutch in emergencies, and of course the MagSafe charger. Sure, many Windows manufacturers have something similar nowadays, but the big difference is that the MagSafe cable ends in USB-C, not some annoying bulky power brick you always have to lug around. The keyboard and trackpad are obviously top tier as well, and probably the best on the market, but I won't compare them directly to other laptops right now, since that varies widely from model to model. So here, I can definitely confirm that Macs are incredibly well built, but when it comes to the operating system, things get a little bit more complicated. Sure, Microsoft has its issues right now with things like ads, but honestly, I never really used their default apps anyway, so I was actually pretty happy with Windows as an OS, and honestly, as of today, I would probably still prefer it. But macOS obviously has its perks too, so let's start with those before getting into the negatives. First off, the OS just feels way smoother thanks to the animations and overall interface. Everything just has that polish you'd expect from Apple. However, those animations have their downsides. For example, I find the window switching animation way too slow, especially since you have to watch it constantly in everyday use. So you could argue that Windows feels a bit snappier and more direct overall, but that's probably a matter of taste. What is definitely better though is the design consistency. On Windows, it's not rare to stumble upon menus straight out of Windows 7, so I definitely prefer the overall experience on the Mac. Spotlight Search is also something that exists on Windows, but is implemented much better here. And yeah, I also really enjoyed that the weather app finally doesn't have ads anymore, and that there is actually a decent built-in PDF viewer. With a Mac, you obviously also get all the benefits of the Apple ecosystem. I'm actually using Android right now, but the cool thing is that Google recently made QuickShare compatible with Mac. That means you can now easily share files between your phone and Mac, even with Android. But let's get to the things that actually annoyed me about macOS. For instance, I think the taskbar concept on Windows is way better. Everything is just grouped together in one bar at the bottom, all your open apps, widgets and the clock. In macOS, this is split between the dock and the menu bar, which doesn't exactly make it more organized. And on top of that, the app management is pretty unintuitive. Sometimes an app is only in the dock, sometimes only in the menu bar, and sometimes background apps like Better Display suddenly pop up in the dock and you can't click them away without closing them entirely. Another thing that annoys me across all Apple operating systems are the app settings. Apple tries to standardize everything, but what ends up happening is that you find some settings in the menu bar and others are hidden inside the app itself. I really think they should just let developers build the settings into their app themselves. You know which app does this right, for example NordVPN, and coincidentally they are also the sponsor of today's video. Just so you know how we do things on this channel, I find useless YouTube placements just as annoying as you do, which is why I only do them for products you actually need. So today that's NordVPN. I don't just use it to encrypt my traffic, I mostly use it for streaming. You would be seriously surprised how different the libraries are on streaming services like Prime or Netflix, depending on what country you are in. So if I want to watch a movie that isn't available in my country, I just quickly ask Gemini, switch my country, and watch tons of movies without paying extra. But the best part is that NordVPN costs next to nothing. You can use it on up to 10 devices, which means if you max it out, it's only 29 cents a month. It doesn't make sense to list every single feature right now, because you can simply try NordVPN out for yourself. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee at any time. So definitely check out NordVPN through the link in the video description after this video, otherwise you watch this placement for nothing, and with the code Review Studios I even negotiated 4 months free on top for you guys. But back to the problems I ran into on macOS, for example with screenshots. On Windows, a screenshot is automatically saved to the clipboard and not separately onto the desktop. I know you can somewhat change this in the settings, but it's just a bit more straightforward on Windows. And speaking of the clipboard, on Windows I just hit Windows V and my clipboard history pops up instantly. On the Mac, I always have to open Spotlight Search first and then press Command 4, which is an annoying extra step. And by the way, if you've been using macOS for a while, definitely drop your best macOS tricks and apps in the comments so we can build a little collection down there. I will pin the best ones too. But the thing that annoys me the most is multitasking. macOS does have a split screen now, which is great, but my problem is with full screen mode, because unlike Windows, where you can still open other windows in the foreground despite being in full screen, that just doesn't work on the Mac. There, full screen means that really only that one app is open, meaning if you want to quickly look something up, you always have to swipe out the app, and yes, that brings us back to that annoying animation again. Those were my main points of criticism regarding macOS compared to Windows, but I have to admit that's really just nitpicking, because overall the system runs incredibly stable, nothing has frozen or crashed so far, which I can't exactly say about Windows. That brings us to the performance, and sure, obviously this MacBook has handled everything I've thrown at it so far. I mean, it's the M5 Max configuration with 48GB of RAM, so I'm not going to bore you with any pointless benchmark scores. Instead, I wanted to talk about the performance of Macs in general. Because alongside the MacBook Pro, I also picked up the MacBook Neo. A review for that is coming soon, by the way, and even though the Neo only costs $600, aside from motion graphics, I could work on it just the same for literally 1/8 of the price. The same goes for Mac Minis. My point is, given the current hardware situation, you really only get this kind of performance for the price from Apple right now. PC prices have gotten almost absurd, and that combined with the timing brings me to my conclusion: just give it a try. I was unsure at first too whether I should really make the switch, but from my experience so far, I can only highly recommend it to anyone. Definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments, and also if you've already switched or planning to. And if you ever want to chat with me and the others, simply join the Discord server. We've got a few giveaways going on there too. Don't forget to check out NordVPN through the link below, and other than that, see you in the next one. Have a great day and bye.